we live?
Not yet. There you
Okay.
go. We're live.
All right. Just let me know when so I can go ahead and gavel us in.
We're ready.
Okay, great. I'd like to welcome all those that are watching or listening or however you're attending this meeting of the Augusta Richland County Board of Elections. We have a few things to cover this afternoon, evening, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda would be items A, B, C, D, and E, which are minutes that pertain to the meetings that we had on August the 12th, 2020, December the 11th, 2020, December 14th, 2020, January the 11th, 2021, and January the 12th, 2021. If you've all had an opportunity to review those meetings, I'd like to consent to accept those with a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve all of those minutes.
I second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded, and we do have a quorum that we would accept the items as presented from item A through E. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same. The ayes carry. As we move into a general update on the discussion of Senate Bill 202 as passed, I'm of the understanding that Rachel is not on the call, Lynn.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. But if the board would like to move forward with just a high-level overview to get a brief explanation of all the various section numbers, I'm willing to proceed in that manner. And then if there are particular items that go above or beyond any explanation that I can provide, then we can reserve those comments for Ms. Mack, if that pleases the chair and the board.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I am a little concerned that we may have questions that Rachel would need to answer because my position is, as a board member, I am sworn to uphold the law of the state of Georgia, and that's what I feel that we did in Richmond County. So I think this is at some point, well, we all know that it's in the courts now, and I think we're probably going to need Rachel's input on it. So
I would accept a motion to table if that's your desire.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with the vice chair, and if she wants to make a motion, I'm prepared to second that.
I would move, Mr. Chairman, that we do that we just table this. I think we are going to need some legal advice. So I think at this point, we would need to have our counsel with us. So I would move that we would table this.
I would second, Mr. Chairman. I do second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we table item number 3 on the agenda, which was a discussion of Senate Bill 202 as passed. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries, and we'll table the item number 3, which is a discussion of Senate Bill 202 as passed. And Lynn, there being legal questions that our board members might want to have regarding this Senate bill, would it be appropriate for me now to ask for a legal session, a special call legal session, so that our board members can ask any questions of our counsel that are of a legal nature, and then open that meeting up at some point or convene a second meeting to have a open and verbal discussion about said bill that would cover the items that you would like to cover, that you would have liked to have covered today?
I think so, Mr. Chair. There are, as we know, there are several lawsuits, one of which Richmond County is actually named in, and there are things that we do need to discuss in a legal session. And I've done a loose poll from the board members to check on availability for 2 o'clock this Thursday. So I'd like to toss that out there. Ms. Chair, I know that you were available during that time, and Attorney Mack was also available during that time. So if we have a quorum, Mr. Finnegan has also stated that his availability for that day. So I would ask Ms. Brown Barnes and Mr. Dix to check your calendar and let us know of your availability. And if we can get together, that would be great.
Mr.
And
Chair,
Mar-
I will be available. This is Marsha Brown at that day and time.
And Mr. Chair, if it's over Zoom, I will be available. I'll be in my office that day.
It will be over Zoom. Yes, ma'am.
And so I'll be available.
I will be as well, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Fantastic. And
That's
can we
it.
go ahead and schedule that, Lynn?
Yes, sir. We sure can.
And will we be within whatever the parameters are for having said meeting as far as notice and whatnot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Fantastic.
Very good. Very good.
There being a motion and a second and a vote, we'll move from item number 3 to item number 4, which is old business.
Yes, sir. As the board knows, we find ourselves without a polling location since Minnick Park has been determined as structurally unsafe, and we they can't have people inside of it for the time being. And actually, frankly, I think for the foreseeable future until such time as it's demolished to prepare a new park space over there. So we are actively looking for a polling location for those voters. That precinct is quite large geographically. It goes from Wrightsboro Road, close, not too far from Daniel Village, the neighborhood across the street from Daniel Village, all the way through down Kissenbauer Road to the other side of Milledgeville Road. So it really is geographically a large polling place or precinct. If it suits the chair, I'm going to turn this over to Travis. He's done a lot of the research on the polling locations and has some information on our findings so far.
Good.
Yeah, that's fine. Travis?
All right, let's see if I can get my video. There we go, a video to come on. All right, well, we did a basic look in the area, and as Lynn said, it is a large geographic area that is predominantly residential. There aren't a lot of businesses and churches and whatnot in the area, but we did identify about 4 in the area. And one of the ones that we reached out to is Bethel Community Apostolic Church, which they have a church on the kind of the north end of the precinct, but they have purchased the old Murphy Middle School, which is right off of Milledgeville Road. And they are in the process in the past year and a half doing renovations. And it was exciting when we contacted, it was Pastor Butler, when we contacted him because he said this is part of their ministry. This was something that he was thrilled that we were reaching out to him because he wanted to be a part of the community. So we set up a meeting with him. They have a nice large gym facility. So large that we would probably only need to use about half of the facility. We tested the electrical there, all of the electrical suits, and is fine for our needs. The only slight negative is because once the building was sold by the school board, they tore up all the parking lot. So as of right now, there's not a parking lot. But there is firm ground and like a parking pad. So we reached out to our compliance department to have them do an assessment as far as ADA compliance. She and Lynn met the pastor out there a couple of days later. She did an assessment and she said it was her opinion that the large concrete pad with a sidewalk leading to the entrance of the gym was sufficient for ADA parking. The other recommendation is there is a slight grill over the door that she recommended a mat. But other than that, she did not see anything that would deter us from moving into that location after we do our due diligence and continuing on with our investigation or research. But she said that it would work perfectly fine, that the doorway was compliant, the parking, we could set up 2 ADA parking spots with making the necessary accommodations and whatnot. Another church we have reached out to is Man Mize Memorial. If you'll remember, we used to vote at Mize Memorial when they were over on Barrow Drive, and they have actually merged with Man Memorial United Methodist, and they're right there on the corner of Kissenbauer and Millsville Road. Let me go back 1 second to the Bethel. We did check, and it is, even though it is in the southern portion of the precinct, it's about 0.6 of a mile from Minnick Park. So since most of the people that are in the northern area of that precinct are used to driving to Minnick, the drive over to Millsville Road is really not that much further distance. As far as people that may walk to Minnick, it was, according to Google Maps, it was about a 9-minute walk if you were walking from Minnick Park. So if you weren't even at Minnick Park, if you were closer to Millsville Road, it should be within a walking distance. And there's a bus also that drops off right there at the corner of Millsville Road as well. So depending on where voters may or may not be coming from. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that part out there.
Good.
But getting back to Man Mize, I've got a call into the preacher. Hopefully he will give me a call back tomorrow. They also have like a fellowship hall area that might be for us able to use. Parking seems adequate. It's about the same amount of parking that they had at Minnick, but it's definitely until we get in there, we're not sure what the room itself might look like, or even if they are willing to allow us to use them as a polling place. A couple of other churches we've looked at that we've got calls into, we're not really quite sure where things stand with that, but we are continuing to just kind of research the area. We're not planning to make any type of changes or splits or anything to the precinct. If we were to go with Bethel or one of the other locations, the plan at this point would be able to move all of the voters to that location because with redistricting coming up next year, we're not quite, we don't really know what the precinct lines may be. So we don't want to make any drastic changes this year, since there is that possibility of that November special election that we're still, waiting on to see if we do have a countywide election. So that's kind of where things stand right now. We will continue to research, investigate and whatnot, but just wanted to give you a report on where we stand right now.
Thank you.
That sounds real good.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add in, thank you, Travis, for your good work on that. 2 important takeaways that I really appreciated hearing were the fact that there is a city bus stop directly across the street from the old Murphy Middle School. So that's great.
Yes.
Right now we know Augusta Transit is providing free transportation to the polls to anyone on election day moving about the city. So that's great. And we really did get great positive feedback from the compliance department. Our concern when we first pulled up in there was, where's the parking lot? There's this giant building with no parking lot there. But the building was, I think, around halfway demolished at the point in time that they decided to sell the property rather than rebuild on that site. And so the church was able to keep the gym and I think 17 of the existing classrooms, and they really have done a beautiful job remodeling it. So we're interested to hear what our friends over at Man Mize have to say. The other 2 facilities that we've looked at, while we've not had the privilege of going inside them yet, they just from the outside, one of them in particular, the parking lot was very, very small. It's kind of tucked back in a residential area. it looked like it could be problematic with the number of voters that we have going in over there. And the other church had a pretty good parking place, but there looked to be on the surface perhaps some accessibility issues as well. So we'll keep you posted. We'll put it back on the agenda for May and see what further information we have.
Thank you. Any questions from any of the board members present?
No,
None,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, hearing none.
I don't have any question.
Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on to new business.
Yes, sir. So the University of Georgia Research Project, this is actually an audit that the Secretary of State's office is performing on the mail-in absentee ballots from the November election. And so each county has been asked to go through a process of pulling a series of random ballots, or excuse me, not ballots, ballot envelopes from the records that we have stored through the clerk of court's office. So the issue has been over the last month, we know that those documents are sealed under court order, or you can't get to them absent a court order through the clerk of court's office. They retain retention of those documents. So the question has gone back and forth about, are counties supposed to go to the expense of getting the court order and do all this thing? This is a state investigation. Should they be getting their own court order to do these things? So there's been some discussion going back and forth. I think the fact of the matter is, though, if you look at Section 30 of Senate Bill 202, there's a new law that gives the Secretary of State access for auditing purposes to those very documents that are being sought after for this audit process that they're doing. And so that's another question that we need to talk to Rachel about, to see where we stand with that, what our position is on it. I wish she could be here tonight to speak with us, but we'll catch up with her on Thursday, and this will be one of the things that we can talk to her about. But this research project is across the entire state of Georgia, and we know the purpose of the process is to further bolster confidence in the election results, and to take a little bit of a further deep dive into the absentee by mail process and signature verification processes. So we'll keep you posted. We do have somewhat of a deadline towards the end of this week of getting the information to them. So we'll see where it goes, and we'll keep you all posted on what we find out in the next couple of days.
And I would assume also that there would need to be a vote from this board in order to move forward with the said action.
There would, and that's exactly why it was on the agenda for tonight. I would like to have had the input of our attorney to give you her findings. As you know, I was out of the office last week, and I've not been able to connect with her today at all. So I just really don't know where things stand. So maybe we'll have some more information on that later on this week.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Chairman.
I would just move that we would table this and also bring it up on Thursday when we're meeting with our legal representative, and ask her the questions. And then at that point, whatever motion we needed to move forward with, but at this time, I think we need to table it until we get her input on this also.
There's a
I'll
motion
second
to
that.
table. All right, we have our second. All right, so it's been properly moved and seconded that we table any decision and or discussion pertaining to item number A in number 5 of new business, that we assess what our path forward would be on this item based on legal advice. So all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the ayes would carry. It's going to be a little odd. However, this is something that we've really not done before in all the years that I've chaired this board. we've never tabled anything. So I would like to offer the board members just an opportunity to ask any questions of Lynn with respect to the two items that we've tabled for any clarification. If you have questions that you'd like to get to Lynn, I would suggest that you send those questions to her via email so that those questions would be available for her to discuss with Rachel prior to our legal meeting, and then obviously bring whatever questions and concerns you have to that special call meeting when that date is set.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It would appear there is nothing else for us to discuss this afternoon. And is there any other new business for us that is not on the agenda?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
I don't have any either.
I have none.
None here,
Hearing-
Mr. Chair.
Hearing none, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Second.
Been properly moved twice and seconded twice that we adjourn. So adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
See
all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thursday.
Talk soon.